After 3 months of wait, here we are. We already have 5 colors in bloom while we wait for other grafts to develop and also bloom. This, as I would count, is already a 7-colored bougainvillea. So I would say that we are at already a bit halfway towards that perfect bougainvillea. Keep learning about this very versatile plant, like our video and subscribe. In this video, we will show you how to solve the problems we know you encountered in creating your perfect bougainvillea. Let's start with the question. Notice the development for this graft here. It is not as developed as this one and the other one, and it is because this graft just developed late. It took it a long time, like maybe give it around 1.5 months. I think that's how bad the development for this graft is. But I knew that it was alive even then. Even when I checked this and this one, because they were grafted all at the same time, I knew that this is okay. So the question is, how did I know that it is okay? There are instances, and maybe I can say that most of the time when you have, cellophane or plastic there covering your graft, what happens is that when you have initial growths, you will see that the leaves are somehow turning into brown. It's because the graft does not want too much, or what you can say, the water that penetrates the leaves, it doesn't like it. So there's that question that from some subscribers, that they want to remove this covering here so that the leaves do not turn brown anymore, or the leaves don't die. You can actually remove it when you think that the leaves or the graft is already what do you call it, maybe a bit sturdy or strong. So for this, I think I can remove it. There are also instances wherein you think that development is not that much, or compared to the a nearby development of a graft in another part of the bougainvillea, you will see that the development is not that great. So you can suspect actually it's the bind that limits it. So you might as well remove a little bit of that bind so that it loosens up or breathe. Okay. There you go. You have to be very careful in doing this. Don't want to hurt your graft. You don't have to remove everything. It doesn't really matter. Just give it a little bit of breathing space. Okay? I think I'm gonna okay with that now. Usually it's actually it's actually air that makes the graft sturdier or stronger. So when you when you actually expose it to the air, then it becomes stronger. This branch here, you would see that you have development here, development there, and one that is just starting to develop. Now the question is whether you can remove this part here. But the most important question, I think the better question is, why would you remove it now? Is it actually bothering the other two? Look at that. Doesn't really bother them. So because there's a semi-development on this one point in the multi-point graft, then I would rather that this bandage stay there for more time. Finally, you would find that you have everything dead, like I think this one. Well, I can confirm to you that this is dead. Isn't another dead? Maybe this one too, but this one is actually alive. So what you can do when you have that instance is that you can actually redo everything, or you can wait for this to grow, this one, because this is still okay, and then do side grafts on the branch itself. We're gonna explain that more using another branch. This is an example of a side graft. By the way, this is actually a different bougainvillea, but we'd like to understand about side grafting. As you can see, you have 5 grafts here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 are actually dead. So you see, you cannot just do everything, because that would be foolish, because you have very beautiful growth now for the other two. What you can do is actually a side graft, which I actually mentioned a while ago, and we wanted to show you how successful we are on the side grafts also. So as you can see, you have, look at that, that is really grown, right? This one, a little bit of growth there, as you can see that. You cannot remove the covering now. You have to wait for this to somehow become like that. If this gets hurt because of the water, inside, then that's the time that you can risk everything and, well, you can remove this one, and then this one will have to wait. You have to be very gentle when you want to remove that. I'll show you later on how I will try to put some relief into this. I'm going to open that part there. This is actually 1 out of 4. So you see, it's quite bad. It's quite bad performance, and I can say that this is fully dead. The other one is dying. Maybe this is alive. Okay, this is what I call late development. But maybe it's also dead. Now, what we can do is to do the side graft. So that's what we are going to teach you on, how to do the side graft. So we're going to do the side grafts here. Maybe 2 to 4 branches again. Okay, so let's do the side branch. As you can see, you have very aggressive growth here. So we all know that this one is actually sucking all of the juice. Now, to do a side graft, we must somehow restrain the branch from putting all of that energy in your existing in other existing graft. At least we get a share. We get some, juice. So how do we do that? I'll show you on how to do that. I'm just creating a little bit of space here. Okay, so how do I prevent this guy from getting all of that nutrients? So what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna do somehow a deep cut, okay, and cut it there. So what's the idea behind this? The idea behind this cut is that somehow your nutrients doesn't get past that. This is gonna be like dead. So we wanted to make sure that this is the terminal. Somehow this is the terminal. We want the energy to go from here to there and not pass through here. So it's like okay, you should it's like telling the plant, make this graft here alive first. Okay, so I'm gonna do the joint here. There you go. So I'm gonna put two guys here, okay, two grafts over here. Remember, this is very important. You don't just cut without this part here. Cut, okay? So we're gonna put some grafts there. I placed that there. I'm gonna put another set of graft here, a pair of graft here. So let's do the same process again. So I've actually covered it with a bit of Teflon to avoid withering. You have to try to make those buds free them. So I'm also going to use this especially here on the tip, where it will first dry up. Okay. Okay. You can review how this is done on the first video on creating that perfect bougainvillea and or be a grafting master. I've explained this all. So this is just some sort of recap. So now what we have to do, because we are doing side grafting, this will all be side graft, is that we can actually this is my cat. So we can actually prevent the withering by covering this with cellophane or plastic. So we are going to do that. On both sides. You always want both sides. That's good enough. Focus. There are actually tips that I'd like to share, like for example, for the orientation. It's always, say for example, you did a lot of cuttings and then somehow you got mixed up whether this is the top or that is the top. The clue is that the thorn should always be on the upper side. So as you can see, if that's the upper side, then this must be the base. So that's how you wrap it. And also, just as an additional information, when you actually cut, you know, when you actually, well, this is already cut. When you actually cut the bougainvillea, like for example, you did cut it like that. So okay, for example, that's the whole plant and then you cut it, so it's imagine this cut. What happens is that the stomata, which is the part of the plant wherein it is able to breathe, you know, it just like our noses, they've got their stomata. So the moment you cut it, the whole branch stomata gets cut off. So it's a way of the plant to conserve its energy. So as you can see, if it's going to breathe a lot, chances are nutrients will be deprived from this plant. So that's the whole idea of putting, you know, like Teflon, and then I do also plastic, so that in time when it gradually opens its stomata to breathe, when it gets, you know, grafted, then it's gonna breathe slowly. Just imagine it like you don't want it to hyperventilate, you know. Maybe it also causes panic one way or another. As you can see, this part of our Perfect Bougainvillea, it had a lot of covers, and the reason behind it is that I would think that this area is harder to graft. One, because it's farther. That's one, it's farther. And number two, because I think it is the hot side. When I said hot side, this is where the sun shines. If you have that issue, maybe what you can do is reorient your bougainvillea. So like for this one, because it's spotted, then I can easily turn it, you know, on the other side, something like that. Or I can also put it on in more shaded area, because the moment you do your graft, you would like to promote humidity, and humidity is very important. Humidity is somehow conserving that amount of water in your graft. If it's not humid, then of course it would die. And if you really have a hot sun, then the tendency is for it to die, you know. So you want it to be moist, and you cannot get a moist area if it's so hot. So that's the whole idea. But this is quite hard, because this is a very big pot. We cannot just, you know, lift it and put it somewhere. Okay. there's also that technique, by the way, of getting scion, which I think I did not discuss in the first one, and it had something to do with the bend test. I'll show you later. But the bend test is just like you bend a twig that you intend to use as scion, and then you test whether it breaks or not. If it breaks, then it has a lot of sugar or carbohydrates. Then it's not really good, because more carbohydrates or sugar, less nitrogen in the plant, and nitrogen is very important. If it, I'll show you later anyway. Let's finish this first. But it's called the bend test. Now we go to my favorite part, is covering it with banana. I've talked about banana before and how it somehow makes it, you know, more stable when it comes to heat. Now, if you don't have banana leaves, you can actually use your, like for this one, this is just a plastic bag that you've used, and you can recycle it there. You can use it. The only thing that I want with the banana leaf is that it gives you a sense of time. When I said the sense of time, when it wilts, you know that it's already a week or so, something like that. So it gives you a sense of time. That's why I keep using banana leaves. Okay, so but nonetheless, you can use your any plastic bag that you use, you know. But I would discourage you from using, you know, white cellophane. You know, you want it to be dark, something like that. Okay, it's very important. Okay, so wrap it again. Then we have to wait for, unfortunately, we have to wait another 10 days. So that's it. We're almost, you know, we're almost done with our perfect bougainvillea. We have purple, light purple. Well, this is light violet. This is yellow. That is red. That is white. And there are a couple of branches that are not yet, do not have flowers yet. Like for example, this one is orange. How do I know? It's because experience will tell you that more or less this is orange, you know. Or you can just simply cut that part and then go somewhere where there is an orange bougainvillea, and then you compare the leaves. Usually you see it in the leaves also. Okay, so there's a lot of colors here. This is called Mr. and Mrs. I think it's impoverished, but somehow after some time it will improve. So what we want to do for the third part is to keep on reframing it so that it's going to give you the nice volume of leaves, you know. And then afterward, that's when we try to induce flowering. We will create your perfect bougainvillea. So that is part 3. The plant has too much nitrogen. Okay, it's very green, and also when you bend it, you know, it doesn't just bend, you know. So that's when you know that this has too much nitrogen and less sugar. You actually want something in between, you know. So if we are going to test something that's woody, let's go over here. when you try to bend it, it snaps. Snaps are not a good sign. Snap means you have less nitrogen, you know, and more sugar. You don't want. You want something in between, you know. Okay, so you want something wherein you when you bend it, you know, it partially breaks, but not snaps. See that? It's a partial break. You can see that. Okay, that is your best scion, and you can also see the growths there. So that is actually your perfect scion. I have done a grafts here, some grafts here, and they're actually dismal. It's actually dismal failure. It really failed, and the reason behind it is that the whole plant itself is not ready. So how do you know when a plant is not really that ready? Close. You know that a plant, okay. You know that a plant is not ready when it's not, the vegetation is not that much. And this has actually been flowering for a while, and I've grafted it when it was flowering. Then I get this. It's actually dismal failure. Everything just failed. It's not healthy enough. You have to ensure that your plant is really healthy before you can do successful grafts. This is a plant that is really not in a good condition. This is the plant that I am not promoting to be grafted yet. You have to ensure that this is healthy first before you do those grafts. As you can see, the twigs are really thin. And look at the main branch, it's really drying up. So you need to improve the condition of this first. If you graft this plant right now, the chances of succeeding is quite slim. You really love cats.